We will be taking the position of Zen Suzuki for this video. We are currently investigating a pharmaceutical case where the company has been lying about their products. We recently invaded their company and took all their information for evidence. Later, while searching through the evidence, we find a sheet of paper that has a blood stain holding it closed. After opening the page of paper, we find the letter F repeatedly written all over the inside of it. The file connected to this is from a doctor named Shin Inaba. We go to investigate him but find him dead from what appears to be an anesthesia overdose. It appears to be suicide, but the circumstances and choice of death are strange. We find out that he has connections to a man named Tomokazu Eno, who had connections to one of the candidates for the election of mayor, Ryuichiro Namaru. While we pursue some leads on Eno, me and my partner, Fumio, part ways to follow two different groups at the time. Later that night I get a message from Fumio. He urges me to go to where he lives. Making my way to his place, I find him dead inside, hanging from a rope. Later we find a woman connected to Eno, after seeing her with him one night, and take her in for questioning. At one point she seemingly escapes the room of our questioning without much effort. We later speak directly to our main suspect, Ryuichiro Namaru, who explains what his real plans are, even telling us that he believes Keiki Itsuki will be elected mayor by controlling the election results and as such wins. We continue the investigation to find out who the real killer of Fumio is, pursuing the woman we found on camera earlier with Eno. We find out later that Itsuki has disappeared and is being searched for. We find out that all the women we've been pursuing are actually all the same woman, even the one we recently questioned. The woman disappeared when Itsuki did, suggesting a connection. Her real name is Ai Magaze, who's said to be able to persuade men into doing what she wants, simply through her sexual appeal. Later we get an announcement from Itsuki, as 64 people commit suicide atop a building. Itsuki wishes to create a law legalizing suicide. After witnessing several dozen people commit suicide because of Keiki Itsuki, I would want our people on this as soon as possible. If there's no direct connection to forcing these people to kill themselves, I would create a reason. We could plant drugs that were already connected to Keiki Itsuki and frame it as the people who just killed themselves were influenced by these drugs, as they give the user suicidal tendencies. Even if this is somehow able to be said to be untrue, it will create even more doubt in the perception other people have of him, perhaps even long enough to find real evidence or create more that will actually stick. Learning more about Ai Magaze, we find a connection to her uncle, as he was her counselor in high school. Me and Hayase Sakuro end up speaking to him in person. While questioning him, he tells us that Ai Magaze seems to possess some aphrodisiac ability that makes men seem to feel extreme sexual attraction to her without much resistance, so much so that the boys her age thought they were sexually violated by her when they actually weren't. Her uncle even admits feeling a sexual attraction to his own niece from her mere presence without much explanation as to why. This would make it seem that she is somewhat like a succubus in a sense and has an aphrodisiac effect on people that make them feel an extreme sexual attraction towards her, allowing her to make them do whatever she says. However, it doesn't appear that women are affected by Ai Magaze in a sexual way, so perhaps having a woman approach Ai Magaze to arrest her might be more beneficial than a man doing it. If Ai Magaze possesses some kind of aphrodisiac ability from her appearance and presence, then perhaps we should use things that to turn people off from her. Distorted contacts that make a person look ugly and nose plugs that give off a displeasing scent could counter her ability to sexually persuade her victims into doing what she wants. We should also expect that Ai Magaze is connected to Itsuki, in that they disappeared around the same time and people around them seemingly commit suicide without much resistance. I decide to capture Itsuki to prevent the suicide law from happening, in which everyone who's been working with me till this point decide to risk their jobs to assist me. Now we've started to set up our plan to capture Keiki Itsuki. We are aware of the route which he will take to exit the facility, so we can attempt to catch him when there aren't any witnesses. I would want to set up every hallway in the building with our own cameras hidden somewhere, as well as place trackers on all the people members with us to keep track of where everyone is, just in case the plan goes astray somehow. One of us could end up having to move somewhere else, or Keiki Itsuki might have to be taken down a different route. So this will be set up just in case this could happen. If possible, we should also attempt to place a tracker on Keiki Itsuki on the slight chance he gets away. Once Keiki Itsuki starts to leave the building, we follow the route set up. Eventually the escort stops for a brief moment, but judging from the cameras we place, we would be able to tell what's happening and where. Hayase tells us that they see a woman that turns out to be Ai Magaze. I tell Hayase to be careful not to approach her yet, but it seems as though Ai Magaze spotted Hayase and is walking towards her, leading me to worry for what will happen. We would also witness on the cameras that the other police members would turn their guns on themselves and commit suicide, letting Keiki Itsuki leave as well. Ai Magaze capturing Hayase. Because of the trackers, we should be able to follow where Ai Magaze took Hayase to and catch her before she kills Hayase. We would be able to arrest Ai Magaze based on that at the very least. With her out of the way, it should be much simpler to capture Keiki Itsuki, who we should also be able to track. If Keiki Itsuki manages to get away, we'd still be able to track his whereabouts because of the tracker. We can use the death of these police to our advantage and place the drugs connected to Keiki Itsuki on each police member, which would frame Itsuki even more so. At this point, it looks like anyone close to Keiki Itsuki that dies has also taken a drug that seems to give the user suicidal tendencies, making them kill themselves, which should be good enough evidence to arrest him. And that's how to beat Ai Magaze and Keiki Itsuki in Babylon. Do you think there are better ways to do it? Let me know in the comments.